Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some ProRevenge. Before we start, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and you can always change your mind later. Our first story today comes to us from Morbid Moth 42. Franchise owner told me I was a nobody who should know her place. He doesn't have a business now. Let's jump right in. Got hired to be the manager and completely run a frozen yogurt shop after working at a different location that had different owners for years. I was promised a great pay and complete control. I get there and it was a train wreck. The type of yogurt they sold, you take a powdered base, mix with milk and add flavors. The workers were just pouring straight milk in the machines. The floors under the machines literally had never been cleaned. I found an anthill under the cold topping cooler, found mold in multiple machines. They didn't have a blender to mix the yogurt or a recipe chart for employees. The owners also owned a Subway, so the only knives they had were dull Subway knives. They had no gloves or cleaning supplies of any kind besides dish soap. I worked my butt off cleaning the store, literally spent hours with a razor scraping the years of yogurt off the floor. The owner fussed at me for doing unnecessary things on the clock and demanded I clock out if I wanted to do that. He also only kept 4 employees at a time at the store and tried to make them all work at the Subway too so that he could just pay them that way. I refused. One of the employees he had when I got there was literally 14. The state I lived in allowed that, but had very strict rules about it. Like they can't work before 7 a.m. or after 7 p.m. They need to have a 30-minute break every 4 hours, etc. He had made the schedule and I noticed he had her there alone for 6 hours. I go in on my day off to order toppings and then told her she needed to clean, not just sit on her phone the whole time. She got annoyed with me, but finally did it. Then I come out of the office, clock in, and tell her she has to take a 30-minute break. She goes off on me and I'm like, look kid, it's the law. She called the owner about it and he immediately yelled at me that I was no one and had no authority. I had no right to make her clock out and I needed to understand my place. So the next day I opened. I cleaned all the machines, filled them with cleaner water, not yogurt, and put them to wash cycle. I mopped the awful floor, took out the trash, then went into the office and typed up a sign with pictures I had taken of all the disgusting things I had seen and since fixed. I printed it out, taped it to the door on the inside so it couldn't be ripped off, locked the door, slid my keys under it, blocked the owner, and left. The sign read, "Dear customers, I apologize for the inconvenience due to the owner's full name, believing this is an acceptable way to keep the store and that cleaning this is unnecessary. I, a nobody who should know her place, have decided you deserve to know the disgusting state of this store prior to my employment. The store will remain closed until he tricks someone else to manage it for minimum wage after promising $18 an hour. Feel free to speak to the owner at the Subway across the shopping center. I don't recommend eating there though. I have also contacted the Department of Health and the Department of Labor for his illegal hiring of a minor without following the law, and his demand that all workers here also work at the Subway, so he only has to pay us Subway checks with yogurt shop name hours added on. Corporate of both, frozen yogurt chain and Subway, have also been contacted over the multiple contract violations the owner has done. Apologies again for the inconvenience. If you still would like a cold sweet treat, I recommend name of ice cream shop nearby. The yogurt shop and his Subway got closed down. OP added some extra info down at the bottom. It says, more info for those who wanted to know more about the hot mess. I did know going in that it wasn't going to be super great. My old location had gotten several bad reviews from people who had visited this location and thought they were the same people, not understanding how franchises work. Like I said, whenever I got hired, he only had 4 employees there at a time, so he fired someone to hire me. The 2 other employees that were not minors were annoyed with me just because of that. Whenever I got there, none of the employees knew how to cut fruit properly. I'm talking, they were serving pineapple with the core and sometimes part of the peel still there. They didn't have gloves at first and weren't even washing their hands. So I made them wash their hands before messing with the fruit, and then went to the guy's Subway and got gloves after fighting him about it. I was going to just buy some, but he wanted me to use those. Most of the knives were rusty or just outright completely dull and useless. Have you ever tried to cut a pineapple with a dull, super small bread knife? It's not very easy. The employees that he had whenever I got there didn't even know they were supposed to add the yogurt powder to it and didn't have containers to mix it all in. There were no measuring cups of any kind. I went to the store, got good knives, not overpriced ones, but better than Subway ones, then had a mandatory store meeting where I showed all of them how to cut fruit properly. I bought containers to mix the yogurt in, measuring cups and labels for them to put in the fridge, and taught them how to do that. Went through all the stock and inventory and threw away most of the stuff because it was expired, to which the owner got mad at me for throwing it away and wasting his money. Because of the store's small staff, many nights I would have to close by myself and be required to clock out at a certain time even if the store wasn't ready. The owner only gave me 15 to 30 minutes to clean and close the store. For reference, my other location was about an hour with at least 2 people. Because of that requirement, I would have my boyfriend at the time help me, that way I would not take hours unpaid doing work. I used my own money to buy all the cleaning supplies. In total, I worked there for almost 2 months. The owner kept promising that my pay raise would come soon. I just had to show that I was going to stay there first, which now I realize was a huge red flag. But I was freshly 19 and just excited to save the store, because I knew if I had the time and resources, I could get that store up to par with my other location. I also had the owner curse me out for denying a lady to use a coupon, which was very obviously fake, telling me I should have just taken it anyway. The coupon was for 75% off your total order, and she had rung up like $100 worth of yogurt. I'm sure there's other stuff that I'll try to remember, but that's all I have for right now. Hope that adds to the satisfaction of the owner getting his just desserts. Down in the comment section for this one, OP was asked a pretty important question from a user called IanL951. It says, wait, you deep cleaned the whole store, then quit? I mean, great work ethic, but I don't think I'd give the guy any more labor at that point. OP responded to this comment and said, I didn't want the thousands of dollars worth of machines getting messed up from having yogurt in them without being ran. They would have frozen to a solid block of ice and broke the machines. And honestly, I just couldn't stand the look of the store as filthy as it was. I figured I'd give them one last clean slate. So both of these places that OP worked for, Subway and this yogurt shop, seem like they're franchised locations of really large corporate companies. So I can see that on their way out, OP wouldn't want to sabotage that location anymore, especially if they want to stay in the good books of that company. Because obviously the message on the door is going to get back to people higher up in the company, and they'll know exactly why OP left. There's a good chance that OP could get another job within this company, whether back at the location that they worked at before or somewhere else, and burning bridges, well, that just doesn't help. Our next story today comes to us from Reaper0221. It is a really bad idea to make a government employee angry. Let's jump right in. This one is a double government employee event, and what you should know is if you get the attention of a government employee and make them angry, they will make your life a living heck. The setup is that I was working for a local county government in the permitting department that handled drainage and floodplain enforcement. I received a complaint from a homeowner. Nice guy, lived next door to a house that was part of an incorporated village. Not nice guy. Nice guy lived in an unincorporated portion of the county, and hence the call to me as an agent of the county. I drove out to the site and to investigate and discovered some interesting facts. The permitting agent for the village allowed the incorporated homeowner to fill his lot, affecting the drainage, which caused the unincorporated lot to flood every time there was anything more than light rain. Nice guy indicated that there was some tension between him and not nice guy. And part of the issue was that nice guy and his partner were a gay couple. This ran up a red flag for me, but in trying to be impartial, I took the information and some photos for the file and indicated that I would contact the village to find a resolution. I wrote a letter and then called the village inspector, Jackwagon, to discuss. I was told by Jackwagon that the village could do as it pleased, and that I could do nothing to stop Not Nice Guy from doing as they pleased, as it was approved by the village. There was then a comment about those type of people, the gay couple, making complaints just to cause trouble. I was now on the case, and it was time to make sure everything done on the incorporated lot was 100% legal. At this point, the game certainly was now on, because if there's one thing that grinds my gears, it is bullying. I went back out and spoke to Nice Guy and let them know what I was up to, and also that I was not going to let this slide. I then started investigating the elevations on the two lots and what fill had been placed on the incorporated lot. The Not Nice Guy came out and started getting belligerent about my presence and ongoing investigation. He incorrectly stated that I did not have jurisdiction over his lot and that he would be calling the police. I patiently listened and then pulled out my two-way radio and requested that the home base dispatch both a village and a county police unit to the location. I then indicated that since there was a regulatory floodplain on his lot, I did in fact have jurisdiction, and that I would be exercising my right to determine the impact of his fill activities upon that floodplain. Both of the police units showed up and I let them know what was going on. They were both appropriately agitated to have to waste their time and let Not Nice Guy know that I was within my authority to proceed with the investigation. A little while later, while I was measuring things, Jackwagon showed up. He started berating me about harassing the village resident and threatening calling my boss and filing a complaint and so forth. I invited him to do so, quoting which parts of the code he could indicate I was violating. I was using marking paint to show the limits of the floodplain for the photos for the file, and what do you know, Jackwagon's shoe got painted when he tried to stop me. Obviously, he was even more angry, as was the homeowner, due to very bright orange paint in the grass in his yard. I pointed out I had done the same on the neighboring lots, but they just kept complaining. It was actually marking chalk that comes off pretty easily. Interestingly, I found two really wrong things on Not Nice Guy's lot. Number one, there was fill placed in the floodplain, and two, a garden shed was built on the fill and partially within the floodplain. Both are big no-no and are actually against federal law. So the course of action had two parts. One, make the incorporated homeowner remove the fill and shed from the floodplain, and two, let Nice Guy place fill in their lot outside of the floodplain to counteract the fill remaining in Not Nice Guy's lot outside of the floodplain. I also told Nice Guy it would be a good idea to run a field tile on their side to drain the water that would inevitably pond up between the two lots when it rained. Predictably, Not Nice Guy and Jackwagon got super angry when I sent the letter out that there were violations that either had to be corrected, remove fill and shed, or apply for a revision of the floodplain with the Army Corps of Engineers. Good luck with that. This then led to a meeting at the county office with Not Nice Guy, Jackwagon, my supervisor, and myself. Quickly, things went to 11, and there was yelling by Jackwagon about the abuse of power, etc. The department head came into the conference room and told them both they were wrong and that they should leave peacefully and comply or face the consequences, fines. The best part was that Not Nice Guy had to apply for a permit, and guess who was the one to review and approve it? That's right, yours truly. Now, I was following the letter of the law, but you have to know that poor government workers are underpaid and overworked. Strangely, the permit for Nice Guy was almost immediately approved, while Not Nice Guy had to have a very thorough review to ensure it was correct. You could make a case I was abusing my power, but I can assure you that the timing for their review was well within acceptable limits. Also, how could I be held to account that they misfiled 3 times before they finally got it right? Generally, if you behaved like a civil human and came to the office, we would help you get things done properly, so the permit would go through first time. But Not Nice Guy decided he could do it all on his own, so it took him 3 tries. Had he come to the office, I would have given him the same services as others, but he decided to take the hard route, and therefore, I didn't give a single inch when it came to the submission being perfectly correct. Ultimately, the situation was resolved, but it took a lot more effort than it should have. Moral of the story, don't be an entitled homophobic butthole. Jumping down in the comment section for this one, there's one from a user called Seagull321. It says, "You weren't abusing power. You had to make sure Not Nice Neighbor didn't do anything sneaky and against code, cause it was likely he'd try." OP responded to this one and said that was clearly the case, and the inspector from the village was enabling him to keep doing so. Basically, they thought they could keep abusing the neighbor without consequences, and they were definitely wrong. Yeah, what these people need to learn is that manners cost nothing, but they can save you a fortune. Not Nice Neighbor would have been able to save a ton of money if they'd just been willing to communicate with the nice neighbor over the issue. I guess what we learned from this story though is that Not Nice Neighbor isn't a good person, and sometimes there's just no hope for somebody like that. Our last story today comes to us from Uncommon Optimist. Cheat on me and brag to your friends? Enjoy deportation. Let's jump right in. I met this girl, 22 at the time, while I, 30 male at the time, was working in a national park, and she was a housekeeper on a work visa. We instantly hit it off, and within a month, we were in a relationship. We even had a solid long-distance arrangement where we would visit each other on recreational visas in our respective off-seasons. I'd spend a few months in Romania or meet her at some vacation destination, then she'd spend a few months in the States. Her marrying and moving to the US meant that her mom wouldn't have to worry about her daughter having a good life. I arranged for sponsorship and proposed to her. It seemed like my dreams were coming true. Then, about a month after she's all settled in, I get a message from her best friend back home. What followed was a year's worth of screenshots wherein she bragged about conning me into paying for her residency, while she cheated on me with 8 different men. In her friend's words, "You are a good man and you don't deserve this." So, over the following 2 weeks, I reported her to ICE and Homeland Security for a conversation her brother and I had over a bottle at one point. He bragged about how he had done time in prison for smuggling pew-pews to Turkish terrorists, and how she had been his lookout on several occasions. As you might imagine, in the War on Terror days, this was not taken lightly. She was immediately arrested and deported and put on a permanent no-entry terror watch list. Want to take advantage of me and cheat? Have fun never being able to come back to the States. Edited to address potential misinformation on my part, I'm not very well versed in European sociopolitics, so I was under the impression that her past, along with her brother's, would result in as much difficulty as it did here. I was misinformed, so thanks to everyone who set the record straight as far as her job prospects overseas. Down in the comment section for this one, a user called Biolust said to OP, "You should sponsor her best friend just to rub it in her face some more." OP responded to this one and said, "You know, we joked about it too. She said that if she wasn't already married, she'd do it just to spite her." My question is, does this not sound like a "Today I effed up" post? By dating someone 8 years younger than me and expecting them to want to settle down and not just use me for a green card? Check out all 3 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.